Hello everybody, my name is Pooks and welcome back to another installment of the Pooks Cast. Today I am joined by my good friend and Rec Room Build Support member Redbeard as my co-host today.
Hey gang.
Now, as normal over on Discord, I did ask for all of you wonderful people to send us questions, so we are going to be answering them today. So without further ado, let's get to it. Our first question comes from Goose over on Discord. They ask, what would be the next step in VR in your own view? Now, I've answered this similar type of question on the Pookscast before, so to start, I'm going to throw this over to Redbeard.
Well, that's a good question, Goose. That's a fun one to answer, because I think we can answer it in the near term, things we'll see in the next 6 months to a year. And then we can really kind of stretch that and talk about the things we'll see in the next few years. I think the fun one is the next year or two. Personally, I think we're going to see better headsets, better optics, things like that. Probably better tracking, hand tracking. I think we'll start to see some cool stuff with that. We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of VR. But long term, I think we'll start to see a mix of VR and AR. We'll start to see those two merge together. I couldn't tell you. I'd say 3 years, maybe 5 years.
Yeah, I can see that.
We'll start to see that. Yeah, I think further down the line, if we can get into like Neuralink sort of stuff, then we'll see some really exciting stuff. We'll see a huge tipping point in VR where it'll become real exciting. The hard part about VR, though, is getting the mass of people on it, right?
Yeah.
So, like when Nintendo came out, there wasn't a lot of people got on the Nintendo, but then home consoles like the Xbox really put that into a normal thing in the house. So as soon as VR gets to that, then we'll start to see really cool stuff, and not just games, just like all sorts of neat things that VR can do. Yeah.
To add on to that jumpstart, I do think what Oculus is doing with their standalone headsets is really helping to jumpstart the VR market in terms of consumer versions. Because the Quest is accessible to everyone very easily.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much that it's wireless that makes it accessible, though that helps a ton in the experience of being in VR. I think the price point is what really helped.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than well, it's basically the same cost as a console, but you're in virtual reality, which is a whole other thing. So the price point definitely, but it being wireless, that was a huge help. Yeah, having gone from a wired headset to a wireless headset, I sold my wired headset so I could have a wireless one, and it's a whole different game. Yeah.
In my opinion, I think going forward, I've heard that omnidirectional treadmills are being developed. So that will definitely help before we see all the neural stuff, because I think that's quite far in the future. I think more immersion peripherals will be released, like haptic vests and gloves that respond to like touch and stuff like that. I think those will come out in 5-10 years. We'll see more of those, similar to Ready Player One type stuff, but maybe not so sci-fi-ish.
Yeah. I think, it depends on the player as well. Like, you'll have the entry-level people who just have a headset and controllers, and they'll be happy forever. That's good enough for them. You'll get the more hardcore players that have the treadmills like you're talking about. To me, those are the same people that have like the racing seat that they're in. With it's a little bit more expensive to get into, and it's a little more immersive. When those price points come down, I think we can start to see those in your average home. But I think the biggest part that we still have to get over is higher quality headsets and affordable. So once those are cheap and easy to get into, then we'll see all those accessories start to really propagate. Because without a really good headset, what's a haptic vest? Some people can afford to buy that stuff to add on, but if the headset is still kind of low quality, not that Quest is low quality, but comparing it to the things that are coming, I think it's low quality. It's first gen of wireless. But when the headsets get to that better quality, then those accessories will become more of the norm. Yeah. If you think of the different types of players, different levels of players, and what they're into, and you can look at flat screen gaming now and see those same people. You got the people that are just hobbyists, which I don't think you and I are anywhere near that, but there are hobbyist VR players, and they're just quite happy with a Quest. They're all good with that. And then you've got the more hardcore people that have, the seats, or in VR world, the treadmills and the haptic suits. So we'll see that whole gamut of things. But VR is still really new, so even those accessories are considered new technology and new experiences in VR. So, a year down the road, who knows what that stuff's going to be?
Yeah.
Exciting stuff, yeah.
Our next question comes from Sad Noodles over on Discord. They ask, what is your favorite non-Rec Room game? Again, I've answered a similar question to this, so I'm going to throw it over to Redbeard to start.
Sad Noodle. Wow, that's going to be a fun question. Are you ready? So my favorite non-VR game, I don't play anything but Rec Room. So to be honest, I don't have any consoles. I don't play games on my phone. I played Nintendo back in the day when I got one as a kid, but I never really had any favorites. I wasn't any good at games. I'm the guy who in Halo, you have to change your look angle up and down, and even then I get stuck in the corners going like this, right?
Oh no.
I'm horrible at video games. But then I got into Rec Room, right? And everything's intuitive. Your hands are your hands, your head's your head. Everything's where you're pointing and looking. And it just all clicked. And so I just really got into it. When I first started Rec Room, it was all about PvPs. Because at the time, I don't know if you remember this, you could walk and teleport at the same time. Which made you like really invincible with guns, right?
Oh,
you got the shotgun, nobody could hit you. It was fantastic. So I just fell in love with Rec Room, and that's all I play. Like if I showed you my Oculus list of apps in my library, it's Rec Room. That's it. That's all I got in there. Yeah. So my favorite non-VR game. So my favorite non-VR game, ready? Rec Room in non-VR mode.
Well, technically, if I go over to Discord, Sad Noodles did ask, what is your favorite non-Rec Room game, not non-VR game?
Non-Rec Room. Okay, so, non-Rec Room. I don't have one.
Technically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I never played any other video games. Yeah. And I'm an older guy, so to not have played any games but Rec Room, that should be quite an interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a favorite non-Rec Room game. In fact, Rec Room is my most played game, but I wouldn't say is my favorite game. I do use it more of a platform to connect with community, and I mainly use it now for videos, and I have been getting into some Rec Room contests. You should check out my contest rooms.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Now, this video will probably come out after the contest is over. But my favorite non-Rec Room games would either be Beat Saber, which is a staple for most VR players, and then a game called Jet Island. And I think I've talked about it in a Pookscast episode before, but it's a physics-based flying game, kind of. You have grappling hooks on your hands as well as jetpacks. So you're kind of like a mix between Iron Man and Spider-Man, and you gotta swing around a huge open world and kill these monsters. And I highly recommend you go check it out if you have a PC VR headset. It's a ton of fun. If you are prone to motion sickness, though, do not get it, because it has no forms of comfort options. It just throws you in, and you're going 200 miles an hour off of a cliff. But no, those are my other favorite non-Rec Room games.
I've tried a few games, but nothing sticks. It's like 10 minutes, I'm like, it's not the same, it's not what I'm interested in. Yeah.
I have also recently been getting into VR chat, simply because I've learned how to work in Blender and Unity. So I've been making models for myself. So it's a bunch of fun to spend time making a character and designing all the clothing items and importing it into the game and seeing it. That is a good feeling. Yeah. I can see why people stand in front of the mirror in that game, because it gives you a sense of accomplishment. You're like, I built that.
Right.
I
built it, yeah. I tried VR chat and just couldn't. It was weird. I went into a room with two people and they were having a conversation, which, outside of VR, you don't just walk up to them and say, hey, so I just kind of milled about, and it was meh. And then I saw Rec Room was free, and I haven't left.
Yeah. Understandable. VR chat's a hard game to get into. Yeah, it's hard. Oh. Okay. Moving on, Fozzie asks our next question. They ask, how has the YouTube game been? Has it fared you well? Now, as hopefully you all know, I did just recently pass that 1,000 subscriber milestone.
Ooh, congrats.
I unfortunately haven't been keeping up on Redbeard's subscriber count, but I do know he does Rec Room YouTube. He does wonderful tutorials on his YouTube channel. It will be linked, hopefully, in the description if I remember, or in the comments somewhere. You'll be able to find all of his information, so check him out. But in terms of myself, I've talked about YouTube before. About a year and a half ago, a user by the name of Circuit Lord, some of you may know him as Wreckbot on YouTube, he roped me in doing a couple of videos and skits with him, and I really never thought it would go anywhere. And I was doing some work with him, and I really enjoyed the process of writing scripts and getting sets together and filming things. And I really liked that, so I started my own channel, and things kind of took off, kind of quickly, more than other people, from what I've been told. And I don't know, it's fun. I like connecting with you guys and chatting with people on my Discord server, and people recognizing me in game is just insane. I don't know, I'm just regular old me, and kids look them up and be like, oh, can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm nothing special. And I know I'm nowhere near as popular as like Bothai and Soulfox. Those people are much bigger than I am, and props to them. But no, it's fun. I don't quite know how long I'll continue it. Of course, if I get busy, unfortunately, the YouTube stuff is going to be the first to get dropped, because it has no real source of steady income or anything like that. But no, I have tons of fun, and I love interacting with all of you guys in the comments section and answering your questions, and just a ton of fun. I'm gonna throw it over to Redbeard now, his thoughts on YouTube stuff.
Yeah, my rise in YouTube, I don't have anywhere near 1,000. Maybe 200, maybe 400 subscribers.
Go subscribe to him.
I have no clue. I have no clue how many I have. Yeah, I made a couple videos, mostly just to like help somebody had a question, and it was easier for me to do a video to show how to do it. And then, as some of you know, I actually went and worked for Rec Room and did a bunch of videos for them. And then between real world stuff and doing the side work with Rec Room, I just didn't really have the time for it. So I stepped away from Rec Room. Now my time's freed up a little bit, so I'm starting to do my own stuff. So I'm coming back with more. I've got like 6 in the can. 6 in the can means uploaded, ready to go. Ready to just hit the publish button. I think 3 of them are scheduled. Anyways, I've got like 20 planned. So I got a whole bunch of stuff coming. Yeah. But
I wish I had
it's
that
on
many
my own
ideas.
schedule. For a tutorial guy, it's pretty easy. You just go to Reddit, go to Discord, and you just see what people are asking for. And you make notes and you write them down, and then later you come back and you publish them. And what I like to do now, which you'll start to see in my videos, is I'll do a tutorial and I'll give the person credit for having asked the question. Hey, so-and-so asked this question. Let's go ahead and learn how to do this. So cite my source, tell the people who had the question originally. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch more coming. I have no intention of doing this forever. I'm doing it for as long as I enjoy it, right? As long as I'm having a good time, I'm going to be doing the videos. Yeah. I have a film background. Went to school for visual effects. Never did it whatsoever. But I learned all those skills: editing video, shooting video, lighting and mics and all that stuff. So I've got those skills that I now use as a talent for a hobby, and it's been a blast. Yeah. So if you have any questions, stick them in the comments. And I'll see what I can do to make a tutorial to help you out.
I'm totally not going to steal your method of going to Reddit and looking for questions to make tutorials. Totally not going to steal that.
Do it. Anybody do it. I mean, there's plenty of stuff. So if you see someone that has a question on how to do something, either, by all means answer them in Rec Room or in Reddit or Discord. But if you've got the time, put together a video. It's clearly someone needs it. Yeah.
Yeah, because in terms, I've done some tutorials of my own that Rec Room's put over on their tutorial playlist. I mainly just do tutorials on questions I've had and had to figure out myself, and then do a tutorial so other people don't have the struggle. So I've done a bunch of tutorials on the streaming camera and fancy things to do with that, and how to get good camera angles, and if you're on PlayStation, how to substitute since you don't have a streaming cam and stuff like that. Yeah, that's
the way most people do it. Is they're solving their own problem and just sharing their solution. And that's how I started. I had a problem, so I solved it and shot a video. And that's how most people work for any of these tutorial videos. I figured something out. Let me just show you how I figured it out. And a lot of the times they're figuring that out because they're creating their own rooms. And they find a problem, so they put together a video. I haven't been creating many rooms lately, just been kind of doing videos and regular work stuff. But I did a contest room, and so did you. We're not competitors, which is good, because I'm sure he would have beat mine, because I've seen his room.
I don't know about that.
But you learn a lot from doing these contests, right?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, you learn a ton, and everything you learned is something someone hasn't learned yet, which is an opportunity to teach somebody. Yeah. So even just doing one room, I'm sure you could have all sorts of great content.
Yeah, because I have Pooks and Company has an official building team. You can join it on my Discord if you want. And we had a big project planned for this contest. I know this is getting a little off topic, but a big project planned. We were really excited for it. My building team buckled down and started building, and about a week before the build phase ended, we ran out of ink and weren't even halfway done the room. So, little disappointed in that. Our idea was just a little too big for the room to handle. But
well, the good news about running out of ink is that leads us back to your question, which is about YouTube. There's plenty of videos on YouTube to teach you how to save ink.
Yes. I did turn to all of them. There was like 6, and I watched them all. And we did. I even brought in a few good tacos, who's really good at saving ink. And brought him in, and he scoured the whole room, and we merged everything, and everything was decorational, and it was just too much.
Still.
And the project was too ambitious for Rec Room. We were almost there too. You can check out both of our contest rooms. If I remember, I'll put them in the description, but as you know, I'm lazy and will probably forget. But check out our contest rooms. They're on our profiles. Find them somehow. I'll put them somewhere.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. Snug Pig asks our next question. They ask, what's your favorite Rec Room original room in Rec Room? This can be anything from the rec center to disc golf. Now, anyone who knows me and has ever spent any time with me in Rec Room will know that I'd say 98%, I'd stake money on that percentage, 98% of my time in Rec Room is spent in a rec center. For a long time now, I've been using programs like Play Space Mover and advanced settings to do little performances in the rec center, and I entertain people, and that's actually how some of my somewhat popularity started on Rec Room. So I definitely have to say I enjoy the rec center if we're counting that as an RRO. My favorite dev made space. Just going about games, if I had to choose a game that the devs have made, I'm quite a fan of paddleball. Nobody plays paddleball. No one.
I haven't played paddleball since the tutorial when you first log in.
I've actually gone in and actually consciously played paddleball. I never play against anybody who isn't level 1, because it's all just tutorial players. I don't even know if the tutorial goes to paddleball anymore, but I don't know. It was back when I picked up Rec Room in 2017. I got in, and there was this floating orb that had no gravity, and you could pit, and there was physics, and it was a really neat experience to be thrown into, so... maybe it's just because it's the first thing I ever really did in VR was paddleball, but I'm sticking up for paddleball. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, my favorite designed Rec Room originals is a toss-up between Rec Royale, because it's big and it's beautiful, and you could just walk around forever until someone shoots you, which I'm horrible at Rec Royale. I'm the guy's 2 to 3 minutes in, open my first chest and boop, I'm out. So I don't get to walk around a lot, but I really do like the design of that. But also Crimson Cauldron is one of my favorite. It goes all over the place, all over the map for the environments you're in and what you're experiencing. But my favorite game to play has got to be Golden Trophy. I love the bow. In Golden Trophy, I'm really good at it. In the PvP, I'm ho-hum. But yeah, those 3, my top ones. So you said Rec Center is your favorite. Original Rec Center or current Rec Center?
Ooh, okay. So I have played in 3 iterations of the Rec
you played
Center.
3 of them?
Yes. Well, 2.5, because from locker room to rec center wasn't
Yeah.
that big. They just kind of shuffled some rooms around.
Yeah.
I'm always going to have affinity for the old rec center because it's what I started with. I liked the boring, bland color design because it made it feel like it was kind of like just a dingy community center. It reminded me of my local YMCA, a local Y in my town.
Yeah.
At the time, nobody knew who I was, so I just kind of hung out with friends in front of the mirror. I know, I was a mirror person. But no, I do like the old rec center. The new rec center is good. It's updated, very sleek and polished in the lighting system, but I'll always have a spot somewhere for the old one.
I like the original one. Well, not the original, but the old one.
Yeah, the old one.
But what was really fun is the transition between the old one and the current one. Remember they put all the construction stuff out there?
And the beams up and...
The beams. That was such a cool way to say, look, something new is coming. That was so fun. They did really good with that. But I like the original one, just the flow of it, where you could go right to the basketball and then the big long area. For some reason, I really liked that. But the new one's fun, too.
If I remember
like shooting basketballs from the second floor of the new one.
Oh, yeah. If I remember correctly, and now this might just have been because I didn't know what patch notes were back then, but I remember I updated my game and I hopped into the rec center as I did, and I saw all of this new stuff, and if I remember correctly, right away, Rec Room didn't give us too much information on what was going on. They were just like, just some construction's being done, and we were like, I don't exactly know what that means. That could have meant a lot of things. So it was really neat. There were speculations on what they were going to do. They thought they might just update the new fresh coat of paint for the rec center was what people were mostly thinking, make things shinier and updated textures. And it wasn't until later on that because the progression even of the construction got more and more. Because I know at first there was just some caution tape, and then they added the beams in a further update, and then they blocked off that whole one area up top with caution signs. And so that I do like the way that Against Gravity at the time did that transition. That was really well done.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do more of that sort of let you know something new's coming. Yeah, that was a fun way to do it. Similar
to the Stunt Runner teasers, I wanted a little more for the Stunt Runner teasers.
Yeah, that would have been good. Their next Rec Room original, that would be kind of fun to see some more of that. I know we're doing the Tomb Heist, or they're doing the Tomb Heist. But that's not technically a Rec Room original because they're doing it all with a Maker Pen, which is very exciting because you get to see the possible things that you yourself could do with a little bit of practice. But the next Rec Room original, that'd be fun to see some sort of teases like that throughout the game. Yeah.
One thing I will say about the rec centers, I miss the room-specific doors in the rec center, the dodgeball and the quest doors that had little decorations around them. I like those little details.
When you would go do disc golf, I think it was all the way at the end of the hall. It felt like you were actually stepping outside the door, and disc golf was right there because you were kind of in like a garagey sort of area, and it just felt like it was literally connected to the door. But now you go to a door, and 3 or 4 options pop up, and it just doesn't have that same connection.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like you're going into the theater to do one of those. The immersion's not quite the same.
Yeah, because I know if you look at the maps in the dorm room as well as the building in the park, they were all the same layout. That the old rec center was designed off of those sketches, so the map mirrored the rec center layout, and then when you went to the park, the building behind you was the rec center, so it felt like you stepped out of the rec center into the back of the school or whatever building it was would have looked like. So I do miss those small little touches.
A cohesive sort of architecture neighborhood. It was all one piece. Yeah.
Because referring back to that dorm room map, it was a map, and in the park you could see the bell tower that the quests were held in, and I like that.
Yeah, that was nice. And that's part of why I like the original one better.
I know on their canny, probably on monthly, people are like, hey, bring back the old rec center. I'll throw it
Yeah.
out there. If any of you are watching over there at the company formerly known as Against Gravity, World Rec Center, we want it. Oh, my hand lost track in there for a second. We're going to ignore that. Moving on. Jimtifer, the person who made this wonderful set that we're in now, comes in with our next question, asking, the Quest 2 has been rumored to be in production. What do you think we'll see, and what would you want with it? I'll throw this one over to Redbeard.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think what we'll see is probably closer to like a Quest Lite. And the reason for that is the time frame from when the Quest came out and where we are now. It doesn't make sense for them to do an upgrade to it, like a big one, a big bump, like a 2. But it kind of makes sense to do a light version, which might be, a little bit cheaper, maybe $100 cheaper. Maybe it doesn't have Oculus Link. Take away a couple of the things that require it to cost a little bit more. So I suspect that's what we'll see is more of a Quest Lite than a Quest 2. And that's kind of based on the pictures. Like if you look at the strap, it looks a little bit cheaper. It being white, for some reason, to me, feels a little cheaper than a black one. Though I think white plastic costs more to produce. I don't know for sure. So my suspicions is it's more of a Quest Lite than a Quest 2. But for like a proper Quest 2, what would I like to see? I think better field of view. Mine is cut off about here. It'd be nice, and I can see the frame if I'm looking for it. Less screen door. I think better screen. Better what do they call it? Are they screens?
Yeah, the lenses, screens.
The lens. Yeah. I think better lens and screens. Battery life would be nice. Wireless Oculus Link would be a whole other level. That would be great. So I think a Quest 2, even just a few upgrades to the hardware would be really nice to have. But I think this next one would be a Quest Lite.
Yeah. I hadn't heard much on the Quest 2 until recently. Soulfox sent me an article that he found on Twitter that had a bunch of speculations and that image I just saw recently. And yeah, it does seem like it's going to be kind of a step down from the current Quest, which makes me think that kind of sounds like the Oculus Go, which they just discontinued, so that doesn't make much sense in my mind why they'd kind of go back towards that, but again, it's all speculation, so we don't actually know. Yeah,
the Go was, what, $99 in the end, by the time it was done. And it's I think it's a cloth material, and it's only 3 degrees of movement, 3 off.
Yeah.
But I think a Quest Lite would be kind of an in-between of those two, but closer to the Quest. If we're just thinking about what a Quest Lite could be, you can't lose the 6 degrees, six.
Yeah, you can't go backwards from that. Yeah.
You can't go backwards from that. You can't have 3 and still call it a Quest. Like that's detrimental to Oculus. But if you think about it from a business perspective, it kind of makes sense for their next iterative step to be a light version, right?
Yeah.
So it's probably going to have a couple better things, maybe better optics. But if it's cheaper, if you look at the curve of adoption from the Quest, right? It's going up. Steam is even saying that they're having a huge uptick in users that are using the Quest. So if you follow that trail and you introduce a cheaper one, like
that's
that
only
could
gonna
skyrocket
exponentially rocket it. Yeah.
Right, and that's what Oculus needs is more people using their hardware and their software. So if you can bump it with something, right, like a cheaper version, then that's naturally what's going to happen is it's going to skyrocket up to more users. And then you can come out with the Quest 2, and the people who are using the Quest Lite, so let's talk average users, right, your moms and pops, high school kids, people that don't necessarily have the money to go and get the next one every single time it comes out. And they're on this, let's say they're on this Quest Lite, and then the Quest 2 comes out, like it's a natural upgrade for them to take that. It's better than the Quest 1. It should be much better than the Quest Lite, right? So it's a natural way to keep changing that arc to keep going up. If you go Quest 1 and then Quest 2, you'll get the same sort of arc, but you're not going to get that adoptability. You're not going to get new people in right away. So a Lite makes more sense from a business perspective. But who knows what they're doing. They surprise us with the Quest. You know,
Yeah.
we've seen the prototype images that they're sharing. We've seen some of the facial tracking stuff that they're doing. Like, who knows? Maybe this thing's going to be some whole other thing that's awesome. We really don't know till it comes out. But my suspicion is more of a light version.
What I would like to personally see in a Quest 2 is I'd like it to be more of a hybrid headset, preferably. So instead of solely being wireless, I'd like them to focus a little more on the PC adaptability, but keep that wireless aspect and make sure that's really toned in well. Because Link is there, but I've heard Link has some issues and isn't perfect. So if they take their PC VR team, which is they have a good team and they still make pretty decent PC headsets. The Rift S wasn't the most biggest step forward in PC VR, but it's a decent headset. If they could have that, but then like make it wireless, I think that's what I'm hoping for. Just because I like PC VR more than mobile, just because you can get the better processing and have everything doing the work on the PC. So I'd like to see a little more hybrid adaptability in a Quest 2 than rather it solely being standalone.
Yeah.
But I can see why standalone is so important.
Yeah, we've got wireless PC VR with a Quest if you use some third-party tools. And it can be pretty good experience. Some of them are a little choppy still, but for the most part, it's pretty good. If Oculus could integrate that from their side, so it's not a third-party, layer between the two, I think wireless PC VR quite easily, respectfully with the other options out there, but that would definitely be a big step up, I think.
Oh yeah,
and that would feel like a step towards the next version. If not, to some people that might feel like the next version.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Our final question comes from Frank over on Discord. They ask, what is your favorite hashtag community room? And that's going to be any player-made room within Rec Room. Now I know Redbeard had an interesting answer for this one, so I'm going to give him center stage.
Yeah. So community rooms are really kind of the reason I play Rec Room, right? Is to help people create these things. And the odd thing about what I do with Rec Room is I really don't go into community rooms much on a daily basis. But what I do is I go into community rooms really to look at how they did things, how they did some circuits, or just looking at it from a player's perspective, trying to figure out how to do it myself. So most of the community rooms I go to, I use for inspiration. Like, how did they do that? How did they do that? During the contest season, though, like we're in right now, I'll go into it fully expecting to be amazed. I'll go through the quests, I'll go through the hangout rooms, and I'm looking at every tiny little detail because I want to learn from that and create those on my own. But for favorite rooms, that's hard to say, mostly again because I said I don't really go into them much, but I can tell you a story about a room. So not earlier on, but a while back in Rec Room, I had already been creating stuff, really bad stuff, just really bad stuff. And then I went into Mystery of the World. Did you play this one?
I haven't, no.
Oh man, if it's still published, it's called Mystery of the World. It was one of those rooms where I finally said, oh my goodness, you could make an entire video game inside Rec Room and experience it and share it with everybody. It's sort of a quest. There's multiple levels. There's a big boss you got to fight. But it was one of those rooms that you could go into and just have this fantastic experience. And at the same time, for my eyes and my perspective, I wanted to know how he did all of that stuff. I think it was a team. I want to say Fandorn was on that team. So if you know anything about Fandorn, you go to a room he's done. Don't look at it for how he did anything. Just enjoy the room.
Yeah.
Just go in and experience the room. And then go back and do it again and try to figure out how he did everything. And it's one of those rooms where you are just thrown back by what he's done, that you just want to stick with it. He also did like a battle cruiser down, I think, as well. About the same timeline. And same with that room. I looked at that and was like, oh, I could do a quest. I look at how he's done this, and I could do a quest. You can string rooms together. That's what I use community rooms for, is that inspiration. How did other people do something? How did they design something else? And we're starting to see some really amazing designers come out. Like this whole contest, you're going to see some stuff
Oh yeah.
that we haven't seen in a long time. There's some rooms I'm really impressed. I haven't a clue how they're getting all that ink to work, which is a marvel in its own, and it's very exciting to see. Very inspirational. I think even some of the upcoming artists that we're starting to see come out. I've got a mentor, Princess Hannah, who's got a room in the contest, and the architecture in there. I'm like, I've been teaching you circuits. I had no clue you could design this sort of stuff. So go into all those contest rooms and check them out. You'll be super surprised by what they're doing. So that's how I use community rooms. I go in and I look at them and I try to learn just by looking and figure out how they do stuff. Yep.
Yeah. So, as I've stated before, I also don't go into community rooms too often. I tend to stay in rec centers. But there are 3 rooms that, in the course of me playing Rec Room, 3 rooms that stand out in my mind. First one being the Wasteland PvP, the original. It was a big open world. I believe it was one-hit kill, very basic PvP, but it was... I'm drawing a blank on who created it. My mind is going to Harrison, but that could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I apologize if I've miscredited your room. But that room I would spend tons of time in just because, in my personal experience, it was the first big open world rec room that I joined, and there were just tons of areas you could walk around. It was all using the old beveled Maker Pen shape, so it wasn't necessarily the prettiest room or the most polished room, but I have an affinity for it because I'd always log on and I'd hop in and just, you'd climb the tower and you'd defend the tower, and I don't know, just a fun PvP room. Second room that comes to mind is one of the contest room winners. I think it was first place for the Mad Scientist contest. One of the co-first place winners. The Mad Scientist? Fantasy? No. Again, I should have probably researched this before I talked about it, but Mythos Lab by Malcolm Flex.
Oh, yeah.
Which now, unfortunately, is unpublished, and I don't know the reasons behind Malcolm unpublishing that room, but I don't think I ever actually did the quest portion of the map. I think for the amount of time I spent in the room, I don't think I ever actually did the story, but I don't know if you played the room or not, but in the lobby area there was a little sword fighting minigame. You would touch an orb, it would put you into a queue, and once it was your turn, you'd be thrown into this little arena, be given a sword, and you'd have to defend yourself, and the longer you stayed in, the people you killed would switch out. And I would just spend hours just trying to see how long I could stay undefeated in this little... It was like, I don't know, 20 by 20 little square, just really small little area, and it was tons of fun. So much, I was there so much that Malcolm gave me a host to help moderate the room, and I don't know. I liked it. It was tons of fun. That was another fun room.
It was like a mini game in the lobby.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. It had no bearing on the story. It was just a little two people fighting swords in a little box, and then you could queue up. But yeah, but no, I played a ton of just that little mini activity. And then lastly, and technically I built this room, but in terms of people who built this room, I had no say on how the room was built, because I don't really know how to use the Maker Pen, but Wish Upon a Star was a contest room I made for the last contest. Didn't win anything, unfortunately, but that was due to some branding issues. It should have been art and not Hangout, but I think my build team did an amazing job. If you ever have a chance and want a really detailed, good Disney room experience within Rec Room, I think my team did an amazing job with the art in Wish Upon a Star. My favorite room in Rec Room to hang out in, if I had to hang out, would be the library from that room, because it's just so pretty. I don't know how they did any of that. It's insane what some people can do.
I remember when you were working on that room, you kind of invited me in and got to look around, and that library was very impressive. Fun fact, though, it was so impressive, I don't know if you remember this, I hope you do, it crashed the heck out of me. Remember that?
It still crashes.
Crash loop.
Quest players cannot join. Even because just recently Rec Room updated and they stated we fixed the issue with tubes that were preventing quest users from joining rooms. And I was so excited, I immediately messaged my one friend who's on Quest and said, you can join the library finally. And he can't. Most rooms that have that issue, Quest users can now join. But since every object, the library is 100% ink, everything merged, and it is 100% tube, I think that's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Everything in that room is tube. I don't know how
Yeah.
my builders got some of the shapes they did just using tube, but yeah.
It's a beautiful room. It really is.
And
It really
I'm
is.
really disappointed if... I do think if we would have branded it as art, we might have made something there, because I've learned that hangout rooms really shouldn't have that many sub-rooms. I've learned from my past mistakes.
Yeah, I suspect hangout rooms... Well, I've seen a couple hangout rooms in the last contest even that had lots of sub-rooms, and they were very, very well done. The problem with them was you couldn't find anybody. You know, you go in there and they spread out in all the sub-rooms, so it didn't really feel like a hangout.
Yeah, that was one of the main issues with my room. But the only reason I'm including that in my list of rooms is because technically I didn't have much involvement on the building. I just kind of did all the sound design and marketing for it. But
yeah, you organized everybody.
Speaking of contests, remember, check out our 2 contest rooms. Technically 3, I entered 2 this time, but
You did
check
2? Nice
Yes.
work.
Well,
so what were they called? What are the 2?
we did Wahoo Island Resort, which is a recreation of the Wii Sports Resort Island. That's the room that I was talking about. We ran out of ink, and it didn't really turn out. It's nothing special, unfortunately. It's still impressive. You can go up in a hot air balloon, and we did make the entire Wii Sports Resort Island. That's what we started with, so we had enough ink to make that really detailed. Just when it came down to the details of when you're actually on the island, things tend to look shoddy because we ran out of ink. And then second room's Children's Treehouse Escape. It is a single room sub-room with a wonderful treehouse and multiple levels and stories and a zip line. It's a really nice chill hangout spot if you want to hang out.
Yeah.
And you worked with Yoshiro this contest, right?
Yeah, I worked with Yoshiro, Red Joker. I'm going to forget all their names. Austin, DJ, C360. I forget what his name was. And then Blaze the Fox. We did Lupin the Third. Did you ever see it?
I haven't checked it out yet. I want to dedicate some time so I can go in with Yoshiro and he can...
Yeah. It's a quest room. You've got multiple sub-rooms that you go through, and it really kind of follows the story of them. I want to give it away, but, you know, it's a getaway for the contest room. So that was ours, Lupin the Third. Yeah.
So make
Very
sure
excited about it. We did some tricky things in there with the circuits.
So make sure to go check that out, and if you want to hang out in my hangout rooms, you can do that too. I would like to thank all of you for watching this installment of the Pooks Cast. I would like to give a huge thank you to Redbeard for joining me. I had a blast working with him and talking back and forth. Yeah. So, maybe, just maybe, look for him and some more stuff for more Pooks Cast episodes, because I did have a blast talking with him. But again, thank you, the viewer, for watching. Make sure if you want to ask us questions for the next installment of the Pooks Cast, you can do so in the comments of this video. But if you definitely want to get seen, make sure to join my Discord. You can ask questions there. We have a channel for it. All of those links are in the description below, as well as my socials. You can hopefully find links to Redbeard's socials as well. So make sure to definitely go and check all of that out. Make sure to also subscribe, like, comment, and all that fun YouTube stuff. Click that notification bell thingy that sends the stuff to your phone. I don't know how it works these days.
I think it's over there. The bell.
That
Is it
bell.
over there?
Bell.
Yeah.
There's a bell somewhere. Click it. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'm Pooks. That's Redbeard.
I'm Redbeard.
And we'll see you in the next video. Bye! That moment you click the green screen late, so you gotta wait. I'm leaving this in. I'm not gonna even edit this out. Bye!